Hey guys, and welcome to the Social Discharge podcast. We're doing another segment on Dragon Ball Daima. A little bit late this time, so I guess calling it the tri-weekly series would probably be incorrect, especially considering the fact that since the last time we recorded this, the Dragon Ball Daima dub is literally over. Yeah, we've fallen a little bit behind there, but we're back with more Dragon Ball Daima commentary. And you know what? Here's my cope for this, okay? The dub might be over in the United States, but it hasn't even begun yet here in the United Kingdom. And seeing as UK is where I'm from, I'd say we're actually ahead of schedule. So,
Yes.
we're actually doing amazing on time right now. But yes, believe it or not, the Dragon Ball Daima dub is still not out in the UK for some reason. And
That's crazy. We need to figure out our dub distribution shit.
yeah, we really do, because Arlon, you were there when I was looking this up, and oh yeah, you were there when I also learned that like the fucking dub for One Piece is also not on Crunchyroll and it's actually on BBC iPlayer. And I don't know who would think to watch the dub for One Piece or any anime there. You know, maybe the Daima dub is there and I just didn't check. You know, maybe
Could be.
it's the sub is on Crunchyroll and Netflix, and when you look up where the dub is supposed to be here in the UK, according to Google, it's supposed to be on Netflix or Crunchyroll, but it is on neither. Yes, the dub is still not out in the UK, which, if you ask me, is very unacceptable, especially given how long it took the dub to come out in the first place, like to begin with, compared to the sub, because I think the sub was about 12 episodes in by the time the dub had started, which is
Terrible.
really annoying because that meant that some of the hypest moments, which we will be talking about in this episode, happened, and us dub-only watchers got spoiled to hell and back by Dragon Ball Twitter. So that's nice. Thanks, Crunchyroll. Good job.
Pretty cool.
I'm Coco, or you could call me Tamika Likes to Draw, and joining me today is Arlon.
Hello.
And today we're covering episodes 7 through 11. Although one thing I wanted to briefly touch upon, it's not that significant for people who don't care, but seeing as I'm somewhat invested in the shonen community's ongoing dick measuring contest, well, last week, Dragon Ball Daima was nominated for the Nickelodeon Kids Best Cartoon Award.
What?
And
Is
yeah,
Daima on Nickelodeon? What?
I don't think so, but I think maybe they just do anything. Maybe they just take anything.
Oh, I guess it's like an Emmy or
Yeah.
an Oscar. I don't know.
Yeah. So it got nominated. I don't think it won, but a lot of people saw it as something pretty significant because it's not very often that anime get nominated for that. So, you know.
Yeah, the last time that happened was with Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yes, which we
My
all know
favorite
is
anime.
the best anime ever. Of course, followed up by the second best anime of all time, Legend of Korra. No, I'm kidding. Yeah.
Let's not get too hasty there.
But that was a pretty significant thing that happened. It also got nominated for Best Anime in the Astro Awards, but that's like an anime category thing. So like it's not like as significant as being like nominated for something that typically doesn't have anime on there to begin with. So you know, there was another thing that I wanted to briefly touch upon, but I couldn't fucking find the actual thing. But in relation to that whole shonen community ongoing dick measuring contest, Toei released something to do with their earnings, and the Dragon Ball IP has once again outpaced the One Piece IP off the back of Dragon Ball Daima, off the back of Dragon Ball Daima alone, which is pretty fucking funny because I mean, it really just goes to show that for as much as One Piece fans can flex about how One Piece has taken the Battle Shonen throne, it seems to me that it really only manages to do that when the actual king is taking a nap, and then when the king comes back in the room, everyone recognizes the true person that belongs on the throne. So
Just you wait. Just you wait another like 7 years till season 3 of Flix Piece comes out and we finally get the Alabasta saga. It's gonna pop off and you're gonna feel like a fool.
I thought you were gonna say wait until like 30 years from now when like the anime is finally ending because like One Piece actually ending with how fucking long it is would be like the hypest moment of all time and like everyone, not even people who don't even give a shit about One Piece are like, what the fuck, that long ass anime? And then they they come in
And
and
everyone's gonna get spoiled on it.
probably the people go in there and be like, oh my god, guys, the One Piece is this.
Yeah, exactly. It's gonna, like, the moment the manga chapter comes out, all the anime viewers are gonna get spoiled.
Oh, I thought you meant like people are gonna get spoiled when the anime drop. That's actually a good point because
Actually, you know what? Everyone's gonna get spoiled because they're gonna make a movie and reveal what the One Piece is in the movie before it happens in the manga.
like they did with Gear 5.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is that's what I was gonna get at is that like they spoiled everyone got spoiled on Gear 5 when it happened in the manga. So when they were doing it in the anime, they just didn't even bother like trying to they actually like marketed like this day Gear 5 gets animated.
Ooh.
Because they were like, well, we can't like everyone knows about this shit. But any
Oh snap! You were over here talking about how Dragon Ball is the goat, and even this podcast can't resist becoming a One Piece podcast because One Piece is the goat.
damn. Looks like I've shat myself.
Good.
Okay, well, I think that's pretty much it in terms of quote unquote meta discussion. We can get into the episodes proper here. Now, my memory is a little bit fuzzy on these because it's been a hot minute since we actually.
Okay, so I skimmed through
Yeah.
7 and 8 again to refresh myself.
The first thing I have written is this episode starts with Vegeta and Fence finally entering the plot and becoming relevant, kinda.
Yeah, the weird monotone guy showed up to pick
Yeah.
them up finally.
Except what's kind of funny is that it really seems like I feel like there might be like a little bit of self-awareness because this is jumping the gun a little bit, but they were
It's
really
still
like
Goku time.
they were really baiting like not having them join the main plot. Like
Yeah.
like they would
They were
constantly
literally
like
like, yeah, you guys, their ship got stolen. And then Goku was like, sorry guys, there just isn't room.
yeah, like
Our luggage is more important.
they kept constantly baiting them not actually joining the main cast, and that makes me think maybe they are aware of the Goku time comments that people make about GT. You know, they're like, yeah, guys, we're making the same mistake. The supporting cast is still going to be irrelevant, and then they're like, oh no, we were just yanking your chain. Here comes Vegeta fighting Tamagami number 2. Don't worry, we got you guys. Nice. So no need to worry about it. Because I was actually sitting there like, oh my god, they're actually gonna keep them like. At first, it was like the ship that Kibito brought at the end of episode 6 like doesn't work, and they're finally going into the demon realm, so they're a little bit relevant. And then we cut back to the demon realm. Now I can't remember exactly what the context of this was, but I wrote down something about how it's Pansy, right? That's the princess's name.
Yes.
Pansy questions how Goku was ever a father, and Goku
that was in this batch? Oh
Goku
my god.
commented that he was never really involved. And a lot of Dragon Ball fans took issue with this.
Yeah, even I'm definitely in like pro like Goku is a bad dad and Piccolo is a better father than Goku ever was. I'm in that camp, but even I'm like, okay, Goku was still in his child's life. He did help raise Gohan.
Yeah, see, I'm like half and half on that because on the one hand, it's like, yeah, he definitely was around for like a pretty large portion of Gohan's child. He was around until Gohan was 11. He was only out of it for like 1 year, before he died and then decided to stay dead for like 7 years. So I guess he missed out on like the second half of Gohan's childhood, if you count the teenage years as being a child, I guess. And then he technically at this point has barely been involved in Goten's life because he was basically dead for like most of Goten's childhood and has only known Goten for like a year at this point.
Yeah,
so
I don't think Goten even like knew what Goku looked like.
No. Well, I guess except for that, for Chi-Chi grooming him to look like him. But yeah, so it's like a half true, half false statement. It's just a lot of people took issue with this because they were like, "Oh man, we're like seeing a return to form with Goku's character in Dragon Ball Daima. We're not doing any of this super Flanderization shit." And it's like, ooh. actually looks like there's still a little bit of that here. So
Goku was pretty stupid in this batch of episodes too. There was also like in the hotel where he's like, "Oh, I just can't keep on this disguise. I gotta take it off to itch my head."
listen, I'm just saying maybe Goku's gotten even stupider because remember that time when he wore that outfit in the Red Ribbon Army arc, and it was basically also like a hat, and he didn't give a shit about that there. I'm just saying, listen, we've character devolved so much that now hair itching bothers us. No, I'm kidding. See, this is why I need to write more detailed notes because the next thing I have written is no shot that guard didn't hear her saying but how when she's standing right next to him. Wait. Oh, okay.
That must have been when they got pulled over by the gendarmerie guys.
Yeah. And Goku used instant transmission to teleport from inside the ship to behind Supreme Kai.
Oh, right. Yeah. And then Pansy decides to be really stupid this time. And she's like, "What? Goku, how'd you get away?" Right in front of the guards.
Yeah.
And Goku's like, "Pansy, shut the fuck up. Please."
Yeah. And I mean, the situation pretty much ends up escalating into a fight anyway. And it's the first time we made fun of him for never throwing hands despite how being hyped up he was in the Buu saga, but we finally get Supreme Kai throwing hands. It's here, it's happening. And you know what? I'm happy for him, okay? Because, after jobbing the way that he did in Majin Buu, it's just like, dude, bro, what? Like, come on, man. You're like almost Yamcha tier at this point. And to be fair, he still is Yamcha tier because he only got his moment fighting generic goons. But you know what? At least he got his moment at all, because
he really needed it. At least he beat them.
Yeah.
It's like I remember when people got mad at, I don't actually know the context, but Krillin like got beat up working as a cop in Super, and people were like pissed about that.
No, it was like this scene in I think it was the manga adaptation of the Dragon Ball Super superhero movie. This scene isn't even in the movie. They just added it in the manga specifically because I guess they wanted to make it more cohesive with whatever the manga was doing at that point in time. Yeah. And like Krillin catches on that like the Red Ribbon Army scientist guy that just got let out of prison might have like a evil plan going, so he decides to tell them out of prison, and they send like a robot bee. A tiny ass robot bee, and it actually beats Krillin in the fight. Robot bee. And he's supposed to be, I mean, I feel like people are kind of talking out their asses when they say this, but he's supposedly meant to be Namek era Super Saiyan 1 Goku tier at this point. And I'm just saying that did not show that, okay? That definitely did not show that. So yeah, you know what? I guess what we're trying to say is that Supreme Kai is higher than Krillin tier at this point. Because it couldn't be my GOAT Supreme Kai getting beaten by a bee.
And humanity is washed. That's the strongest human right there.
Yeah, they gotta give the humans they gotta give them something, man.
It's time to give the humans some forms. That's what I'm saying.
Man, they could at least give them the Kaioken. That's not like a species-specific transformation, you know?
Yeah, Goku should, like, tell Krillin about that.
Yeah.
Kind of a dick move on Goku's part.
Well, I mean, it's actually more of a failing on Supreme Kai's part because they fucking died. And it's technically filler, but if you want to consider it canon, they go to Supreme Kai's planet and he teaches them fuck all. He could teach them the Kaioken, he could teach them the Spirit Bomb, and he just is like, no, let's just watch Goku getting his ass beat by Frieza for about 10 episodes before he goes Super Saiyan. On the subject of Supreme Kai, I guess we learn his real name, his birth name. His real name is Nahare, which is a neat little addition to the character. But he says that he prefers being called Shin/Supreme Kai. And I gotta say, I looked at him with this big frown on my face because I was like, bro, this could not be my GOAT, Kunta Kinte, okay? They had Kunta Kinte fucking strung up and they were whipping the shit out of him, and they were like, bro, what's your name, you filthy... I was about to say the word, but I'm not going to say it. What's your name? And he was like committing. He was like, bro, my name is Kunta Kinte, bro. I ain't finna take that slave name you're trying to have. Meanwhile, over here, Nahare is like, nah, my name is Shin, bro. I fully accept my slave name.
I thought it was interesting that they they kind of made a big deal about his name. Like they keep talking about the fact that his name is Nahare.
I do kind of like that Pansy actually calls him that. It's kind of like a Vegeta moment where, like, because Vegeta is actually from planet Vegeta, he calls Goku Kakarot, and because Pansy's
Yeah.
from the future, she actually calls the Supreme. Yeah, I don't know why
Yeah,
they keep
I
calling
like
it,
that.
but it's a neat little thing there.
It's like it's just an easy way to do a lot of characterization.
Hmm.
Reminds you that these people have relationships.
Oh, I got into a little bit of the power scaling bullshit here a little bit because I wrote, apparently King Dabura has never beaten any of the Tamagami, which is an interesting thing to hear given Goku beat Tamagami number 1 in Super Saiyan 1, and Dabura is Super Saiyan 2 tier. Also, how was Dabura never overthrown if someone, presumably Neva, was able to create something more powerful than him? But I guess we learn about that later on.
He's kind of a big deal.
We learn why he never decided to throw the Tamagami against
Yeah,
later.
the Namekians, I guess, don't get involved in they're not politics guys.
Which I definitely want to address when we get to that because it's kind of bullshit, but it also kind of explains a couple of things. But yeah, we get the first Tamagami fight, and it's when things finally start to move a little bit Z tier in terms of choreography, but we still have the good stuff, especially at the start of the fight. So it was a pretty good fight, well choreographed, and I think now is when we fully transition into like Super Saiyan 1 being used more liberally at this point. Like the mystical element is being fully dropped. So I
Yeah,
can
when Vegeta went Super Saiyan later, it's literally like instant. They
yeah,
don't do anything with it.
we're fully like if the first couple of episodes was meant to like make people feel more nostalgic for like original Dragon Ball, I think now we're like fully entering when things are meant to be like more reminiscent of. 'Cause there's still a bit of hype in Goku going Super Saiyan here, but like it's becoming more common, you could say.
Yeah.
And once that happens, it becomes a classic Z fight. The characters are weightless, they're zipping all over the place and flying, and
You know, I enjoyed that fight okay, but I gotta tell you,
I still
the
enjoyed it,
other
but
when we
yeah.
watched the other 6 episodes yesterday,
Hmm.
I was getting real tired of the floaty choreography. I was starting to in my head I was like, you know what? I think Coco might have been right about the the weightlessness problem.
Yeah, which to be honest kind of brings me to like a whole other thing. I don't want to get sidetracked too much, but recently the latest ongoing discussion in the Shonen Twitter dick measuring contest. Initially, it was proposed that Naruto has the best hand-to-hand choreography as far as Battle Shonen anime go, and I think the conversation was initially started because one of the lead animators on One Piece was saying something like he hopes to make something as legendary as the Naruto versus Sasuke fight at the fucking waterfall, when during the retrieval arc. And a lot of people were like, "Man, he's saying that when he made like the cool sequences and like Wano and shit." And it's like, yeah, that stuff is flashy, but it's also like a lot of visual noise, and you can't really tell what's going on sometimes, especially when Gear 5 is thrown into the picture. And then Dragon Ball fans came in like, well, that's cool and all, but Dragon Ball was the blueprint and blah, blah, blah. And I think rightfully the One Piece and Naruto fans kind of looked at the Dragon Ball fans and went like, bruh, really? Like, because listen, I love me some Dragon Ball, but like, if you have to like refer to like the same two fights, Goku versus Perfect Cell and Goku versus Majin Vegeta, to make the point that Dragon Ball Z has good action choreography, like well choreographed fights, that probably means it doesn't have well choreographed fights. And I don't think it does. I think a lot of it is just characters just sort of punching each other and teleporting and moving really fast. And that's fine. That's entertaining. It's my favorite anime
But
for a
when they
reason.
go, that's like that's choreography.
And then I saw, oh, yesterday I mentioned someone posted like a clip from Dragon Ball Daima of like when Goku fought some of those gendarmerie when he rescued Pansy, and I'm like, well, I kind of feel like using Daima is cheating a little bit, but then it is Dragon Ball, so you know what? Go ahead. But like that's not really representative of like what most fights throughout Dragon Ball Z, GT, and Super look like. I mean, you'd probably be better off.
That's a little bit like if someone took what was that One Piece short thing that we watched for a seasonal?
Oh, the fan letter thing? One
Yeah,
Piece fan
what
letter?
that's like if someone took One Piece fan letter and was like, look at how crazy the animation in One Piece is.
Yeah. Well, that's like, honestly, with that comparison, though, that's kind of like half accurate, half inaccurate because the episodes in One Piece nowadays do be movie tier, and I have no idea how they're putting that stuff out weekly, but but yeah, no, I
Because
get
it's
what
the
you
goat.
mean. So yeah, the choreography. I mean, the fight was a fun watch. They brought out the Kamehameha, and I never really thought of it this way, but I saw someone else point out how like on the subject of like them treating Goku's moves with some weight, they definitely treat the Kamehameha with some weight because it never even registered in my brain that Goku hasn't used it at all until this point. So that's kind of cool. No
Yeah.
spamming. We hate spammers. The other thing that I wrote is I do like that there's more to beating the Tamagami than just fighting them. You gotta solve a riddle at the end to
Oh, so
get
he
the
did
Dragon
that
Ball.
with the first one, did he? I
Yeah, he
because
did.
with the other two, they had that, and I was like, did he do that? Was that a thing?
The one that Goku did was actually kind of different from the other two because with Tamagami 2 and 3, they like ask a question and they're both kind of math related. But the one that Goku did was like guess which cup the Dragon Ball is in, and then he does like the
Oh, right.
yeah,
They
yeah,
played the shell game.
yeah, and then like the trick to it was that he actually like threw it away really fast and it wasn't in any of the cups, and
I'm just
Goku put
saying,
it away.
like, why would you lead with the fight? Because if you can win the fight, why can't you just like kill them and take the Dragon Ball after you lose the riddle?
Yeah, that is true. You could just well, the Dragon Ball is like in them, but then again, Dragon Balls are indestructible, so never mind.
Yeah, just kill them.
Yeah, you
Just
could just
rip
do
them in
that.
half.
But I do like that that element is there. I feel like it kind of adds a little bit to the adventure piece, you know.
I definitely liked the one Vegeta had to do that. That was actually pretty funny.
I guess there's more of Goma and Degasu watching Dragon Ball Z, except it's the remake that we're never gonna get. Man, I'm kind of torn on that because people are like, I want a remake, and I'm kind of like, I just want more new stuff, please.
I guess the biggest thing that happened in episode 8 was Doctor Arensu apparently stole some of Boo's essence and was like had the chick that made Majin Buu. She gave it to her, and they're trying to make a new Majin.
So there's actually two retcons here, which is that one, Arensu was apparently there during the course of the events of the Majin Buu saga and just picked up a chunk of Majin Buu when Vegeta did like the fucking self-destruction attack and like blew Majin Buu up.
How did they not see her when they were watching Dragon Ball Z?
Oh yeah, the first time. Yeah.
Yeah.
But not just that. How did Piccolo not see her? Because Piccolo was there. Piccolo was literally watching from above when it happened. How did he not see Arensu there picking up like the chunks?
Damn, that'd be crazy if like Piccolo meets Doctor Arnsu and he's like, "Oh, it's you. I remember you. You picked up a piece of Boo, and I just watched and
And I
didn't
just
do
let you
anything."
do that, not knowing what
Yeah.
potentially dastardly deeds you might want to do with that. And the other retcon is, of course, as you mentioned, we get introduced to the lady who created Majin Buu. In Dragon Ball Z, it was formally established that it was Bibidi who created Majin Buu, who is Babidi's father, the person who summoned Buu in the Buu saga. And we learn it was actually her. I guess we also learned that Buu, I guess, is from the demon realm, I guess, because in Z they kind of made it look like these characters were from somewhere in outer space, but
I guess they were like they left the demon realm and were just chilling in outer space and conquering stuff, and then they
yeah,
got sealed, and then they unsealed it or whatever.
yeah,
Who
and the explanation.
sealed Boo?
Uh, it was one of the Supreme Kais, or like one of the Kais.
Oh right, it was it the fat guy that Boo ate?
Yeah, it was the fat guy that he willingly let himself get eaten by Boo so that Boo would become more good-natured, and they actually did a pretty neat callback to that in Dragon Ball Super, where Majin Buu turned into that guy because that guy was the only guy who had the power to like defeat Moro at that
Huh.
point in the arc. So that was kind of
Interesting.
nice. So it was, I can't remember what happened after he let himself get eaten, because I don't think he just became like fully good. He just became less evil.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean,
they still had to seal him somehow, but
the original Boo, who's fat and turned Bobbity into chocolate and ate him, was that version.
yeah, because he was Kid Buu first, and then which it always trips me up. It's weird because I call myself like a big fan of Dragon Ball, but I actually hadn't watched all of the Buu saga in its entirety until like recently, like 2 years ago. So when I learned that like Kid Buu was like the original form, I was kind of just there like, wait, what? Because they don't mention that in like any of the games or anything. Because I'd played like games and stuff of the Buu saga, and obviously they tell it in a very abridged way. So I guess they don't go into all the details. So that really like caught me off guard that like Fat Boo is actually the second transformation. And to be honest, I'm not entirely sure I get how he turned into Kid Boo when they didn't take the fat guy out, and the fat guy wasn't even visible inside Boo in the first place. But whatever.
Well, there was like a whole shenanigans with like it was some bullshit actually.
I think it was that
It was like
they took out
an
Fat Boo himself,
evil
right?
Boo was like turning good, and then Boo turned the
Oh, he
evil came
expelled all
out.
his evil out of him.
The
Yeah.
evil came out of him and then ate the other half of him. So I guess the evil became the dominant side or something.
He like ate him, and then he became Super Boo, which basically looks like Kid Boo but older.
That was the most like asshole. Like we can't end the plot yet, but we already like kind of
Yeah,
resolved the problem.
it's a battle shonen, so we can't very well have the series end by like one of the characters appealing to the hidden good nature of stares at Hunter x Hunter and the guy who's the ripoff of Cell arc, and them doing pretty much exactly that, and it was actually genius and really well done.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where Togashi got the inspiration from. It was like, what the fuck? That would have been a perfect ending for the arc. I'm gonna do it myself, but with Cell instead. So there
I
you go.
actually will say I'm a huge fan of non climaxes like that.
Yeah,
That happens in my favorite arc in The Gamer.
I have not read that, but
Pretty good.
it's been on my radar since I was in high school.
It kind of reminds me of Hunter x Hunter for some reason.
Oh. Does he use a fishing pole as a weapon?
No.
Damn. Well, anyways, getting back to Daima. Yeah, so the reason why she decided not to take credit for creating Majin Buu was because Buu was wreaking all kinds of havoc across the galaxy, and she was like, yeah, fuck that. I do not want to be fucking associated with any of that. So yeah, that's which seems pretty reasonable to me. I think if I have become Death, Destroyer of Worlds, could disassociate himself from the things he created, he probably would. But I forget his name.
Oppenheimer.
Yes, that guy. So there you go.
From the famous movie Oppenheimer.
Oh yeah. Oh. Yeah, and then at the end of the episode, I guess we learn. At the end of episode 8, we learn 100%, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that Aransu definitely wants to become the new Demon King. Because we were speculating that might be the case up until now, but it wasn't really confirmed. And Glorio is helping Aransu with that. Exactly what Glorio gets out of doing so, we're not entirely sure yet. Maybe he just wants to see some change in the demon world. We'll see.
I guess I'm more curious about what Aransu's motivation is.
Yeah.
I guess you can guess that she's just like, well, what's-his-face is pretty incompetent, but...
There's also the fact that they keep getting in the way of her fucking doing her sciencey shit.
Yeah, but I just wonder, like, how does she want to rule the demon realm? Maybe she'd actually just be a really good ruler.
Maybe she wants to educate the masses and turn the demon world into a science-loving utopia where they get together and solve everything, and they figure out how to get rid of the heavy air in the second demon world and make it easier for everyone to get around and all this other shit. Who knows?
I'm forgetting, when do they... At some point they get stopped by the cops again, and they just kill them and steal their ship.
That might have been the fight with Supreme Kai. That might have been...
Oh, you're right.
I probably forgot to write that down.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they do steal a gendarmerie plane.
Oh, they wanted to check her collar or something. And that caused a conflict.
And then I think Supreme Kai took it off, right?
Yeah.
Because he can just do that now. It seems the hotel they aim to spend the night at is located on Angel Island. I've always wanted a Sonic Dragon Ball crossover, and it looks like I'm finally getting one. Because the main trio, they want to wait for Vegeta and friends to get into the Demon Realm, and they want to find somewhere to rest, and they decide to rest at this hotel.
It's a nice hotel.
Yeah.
I was just